it's Nin, also known as Invisible Load of Life. Now, I really want to reach out to as many of you as possible to share your stories and also to create awareness that life doesn't end after an MS diagnosis. It's just different. Today, I have a wonderful interview with Syra, and we're going to talk all about her diagnosis and what inspired her to start creating art. So could you tell me a bit about your diagnosis then? Like, when did it start? When did you find out?
So in about, I'd say around 2000 and probably six, I'd be going out and enjoying myself, and for no reason at all, I'd fall down, and it became a joke, Sarah, she walks, she falls down, and it was like, is she drunk? She can't wear her heels? What is it? I'd be going to, the funniest was I walked into a wedding reception. My daughter was holding my hand. I walk in, they passed me a drink to have, to welcome me. And I go to get my drink and I'm lying on the floor. And it's like, what are you doing on the floor? And so I went to the doctors to find out, why am I falling all the time? And he at first thought it was some kind of arthritis. And anyway, it continued. And then I was having tests, and I had I think I had 4 MRI tests. And then it was going, then I had my, what did I have? Oh yeah, when I had my lumbar puncture, it came through, the results then came in 2008 that I had primary progressive MS. And at that point I could walk, but I used to fall. So I started using a stick, and then I'd still be going to work. My life was still normal, even though I would get more tired. Then it was having a stick and holding somebody's arm I would have to do, and I was a teacher, so the kids used to love it. Who's going to hold Mrs. Dean? Carried on working, and then slowly it got harder. Using a stick and a person, I'd have to have a Zimmer frame to go around in the house and a wheelchair for outside. And then it went on to progress further, where it was a wheelchair most of the time, to permanently being in a wheelchair and not ever getting out of it again, basically.
Oh.
That's so.
And that is so how quickly was it from diagnosis to then you being fully in a wheelchair?
So 2008 was the diagnosis, and I was fully in a wheelchair in 2018. 10 years then.
10 years, so it took 10 years for that slow progression.
Yeah.
And in terms of any medication or disease modifying therapies, are you able to take anything? Do you?
I have tried basically every single thing you can think of trying. So I had the baclofen, the gabapentin, the amitriptyline, I think there were 5 different ones I had tried. And each one had a terrible effect on me. I'd get paranoia. I would get worse when my mum was having to feed me. I deteriorated a lot with the medication. So then I went into going down the route of having acupuncture and, more natural remedies. Again, none of those worked either. And then it was the only thing that gives me some sort of relief from the pain, because the pain can be extremely intense. It's cannabis. So I have to, whenever the pain arises, I have to vape cannabis. And it's the only thing that helps me. And I really want to be an advocate for making it legal for people who do suffer, because it's not legalised here, and Birmingham doctors will not prescribe it as medicinally either. So it is something, and I desperately do need, it's the only thing that works.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, like, are you able to have that on medicinal purposes, but you've just said no?
No, they won't give it you.
So how far are you in terms of wanting to advocate for it and make it legal? Because quite a lot of individuals do find that it releases symptoms or relaxes them or eases the pain.
Definitely. For me, that's the only, and I've tried everything. And the last one I used, and I ended up in hospital in January, was duloxetine. And the doctors had promised me, my MS consultant promised me, that it was not going to have a bad effect on me. It was one of the easier ones to have. It would relax my muscles. And because I was emotionally very low as well at the time, They said it would help with that. And I only had one, and I ended up in hospital. And I just said I would never go down that road now. I'm not going to try any conventional medicine.
So
I'm not going to.
the really bad side effects then that you felt? I know you mentioned.
So I had duloxetine. Was my heartbeat went very, very fast, and my blood pressure dropped a lot, and I started hallucinating. So my children were like panicking. Luckily, they were there, and I could see all these like snakes. It was like I was on a trip. And it was the most bizarre thing ever. But my heartbeat just wouldn't slow down. And that's why when paramedics came, they said I had to get into hospital.
That's crazy that these medicines that are supposed to be helping us for one thing can create so many other.
Yeah. And for some people, some things do work. Just for me, they just did not. And the doctors would not go down natural therapy. They were always about, no, this medicine, now we've tried that one, let's try another one. Don't give up. Try another one, try another one. And now, because of what happened on the last one, I said, I'm not going down that road now at all. Not even going to try anymore.
No, and that's it. And you've almost got to say, how much can your body take?
Exactly, yeah.
And I think sometimes there are so many challenges with MS, and it all varies for the individuals. If we can have a bit of comfort and some, why are we putting our body through a lot more than it has to go through?
Definitely. And every MS patient is so different. You can't almost compare them. You just can't do it because we are so different.
Yeah.
Each one.
We are. How old were you when you were diagnosed?
It was a 40 something. What am I now? 50? Yeah, 40, 41. Mm-hmm. No, 40. I think I was 40.
Yeah, so it's within that bracket, isn't it? That is very typical for women to be diagnosed.
40, I was in.
Yeah,
right.
That's hard. I was 37 when I was diagnosed.
Yeah.
And
they're getting younger now. People who have been diagnosed are very young. Some I hear.
I know somebody who is around about 18, 19 and she's been diagnosed.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
It's
a very cruel disease in that it takes your life away. It does take all that away, as you go through life. It's quite cruel. It is quite cruel.
It is, and I think it's cruel on so many different levels for different individuals as well.
Yeah.
Think about
and the family who have to do it,
So what is your family setup?
Sorry?
What's your family setup? I know you've got a daughter.
So I live with my mum now. So I was divorced. I got divorced how many years ago now? Must be 6-7 years now. Divorced. He just didn't, as an Asian man, understand being ill. You want a fit wife that's young, can do everything. And when he had to have the responsibility of having to take care of me, couldn't do it at all. So my son was my main carer from the age of about 11, 12 with my mum. They were the main carers. And my daughter was at university at the time, so she couldn't be here. She was in Cambridge City. And so it was all on my son. So when my son reached going to uni, everybody was saying, well, you need to go to Birmingham. You can't be away from your mum. And I forced him. I said, no, you need a life. I want you to go away. You need to go away. And he went to Manchester for 3 years. But used to come most weekends and things to support. And by then, my daughter had come. Had come back. So she was helping me through the week. And then my son would come weekends. So they both got space. But they do quite a lot.
Yeah, and that's hard as a mum, isn't it? Like, we want our family around us. We want our children to live their life. And we don't want to feel, especially myself, I don't want to feel like...
I felt a burden, a complete burden. That's what caused some of my depression. Because I could see the strain, especially in the last 2 years, the strain on my children's faces, because I had deteriorated even more, where they had to physically lift me from the chair to put me onto the toilet. And then they could leave me. I had some kind of dignity, but then they had to come back and get me out. So my mum was doing a lot of it. So my mum's 80. So my mum and my children as a pair used to do all the transfers and everything. Now I have carers and hoists to transfer me. But prior to that, it was my family doing everything.
And that's it. And as much as they want to do it, we feel it, don't we, as individuals, that we don't want them to carry that stress. And, you know, your son at the age of 11 was a young carer.
Yeah. And my son, it was when my son turned round, I think it was about a year ago. He turned round and he said, "You're not my mum, I'm your carer." And that really hit me. I was so upset about that. And that's what he was. The only reason I used to call him was, "Can you help me with this? Can you do this? Feed me, do this, do that." And I thought, yeah, but I should be doing all this for you, and you're having to do it for me.
No, and it's really hard, isn't it? Because we don't want to be that burden to our children.
No.
They want to look after us, but the fact that
Yeah.
they say it openly, it absolutely breaks our heart.
Definitely. And that's when I think I accepted that I needed to have carers. That I thought, okay, I can't have this burden on them forever or anything. I have to go down this route, and that's given them a bit of space, even though they still have to help me a lot. They do all the cooking, cleaning, everything like that. They don't have that burden of getting me out of bed and putting me in the chair, taking me to the bathroom 4 times, 5 times a day, or any of that. They don't have that pressure anymore.
And how do you feel now that you've got carers in the home? Because I know sometimes that could be a bit of a barrier.
It was a complete grievance. I grieved a lot for my sort of that tiny little bit independence I had sitting in the bathroom myself and say I'd done it. I grieved it. I was really upset, and it took me a while to accept that I had to have carers. And I do have the most amazing 2 girls who come and support me. I have them 4 times a day, almost 7 days a week. The same one, which makes a difference, because when I came out of hospital, I was with Servacare, and they send any carers, you can have anybody, and you can have some good ones and some, oh my God, not good at all. And you're just apprehensive the whole time they're going to come. What time are they coming? How are they going to deal with me? Are they going to understand me? And with this, once I got the private company, there was a lot of training on both sides. They had to understand my needs and me understand get what I needed from them. And it's taken at least 6 months to get to that stage.
It does. And it's also, you're trusting somebody else. You have to build that relationship. It's so, personal care is so intimate.
So intimate, like prior, nobody had even seen my body, apart from your husband or so, partner. And now anybody was there. They're just, I'm like, "You're looking at my body and you can't do that, go away, leave me alone." And I couldn't stop crying for the first, it must have been at least 4 or 5 weeks. I cried every single day. Every day I cried. So I couldn't cope.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the main trigger for the tears?
That somebody is having to wash me. Somebody's watching me go to the toilet. They're standing there. All of those. My God, I need space. Why are you here? You're in my space. This is the tiny bit of dignity I had left. Was I could sit in the toilet myself and do things, and I could wash myself. They used to be able to set me into the shower, and then I could wash myself, and then I'd put a towel on, and then my family members would come to do all the transfers again. And now I had none of that. It was all gone. Now it was any stranger coming in, washing me, cleaning me, getting me on, all of that. I lost it all. And I was like, what do I actually have left? I've lost everything about me. Everything.
And that's so hard, isn't it? Because, and I do believe we do go through the different stages of grief.
Yeah.
When you're first diagnosed, and then when you're MS, when it progresses at different stages for everyone, doesn't it?
First was diagnosed. There was no way I was going to end up in a wheelchair. I'd said to myself, there's no way I'm going to fight this. And I've always been a fighter. Even now, I'm still fighting everything. I can still do this. I'm going to do this. Physically, I can't even. Like, sometimes I want to help the kids when they're cooking. Let me cut that tomato or something. I can't do it. I physically can't do it. However much I try, I can't do it. And I never thought when I was first diagnosed I'd get that bad.
Yeah.
Never. And to be at that stage now, I sort of wish, I sit there wishing, why couldn't it have stopped because it was hard when I had to have a walking stick. When I got to that stage of having a walking stick, that was hard, and I hoped I would never get worse than that. And now I would love to be back at that life where I had a walking stick and I had to depend on somebody.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? And we at the time, because it's all relative, it's progressed from where it was, and so sometimes we despise the way we're living life at that time, and we can't accept it because it is really, really challenging, and with the disabilities and all the emotional loads that come with it as well, it can be really hard to manage just at that stage. And then you're looking at another 5 years down the line in your life now, and we always think, oh, I wish it was like this, or I wish it was like that, and it's so hard.
You grieve each stage that you deteriorate. You're grieving again, you've lost again. It's grieving a death. It's like a death. Grieving it.
It is a part of you that's
it's gone.
No, there. I always say that I miss the body that I had before MS, because it was a very different body. It was almost 110 miles per hour. I've got 2 young girls.
Very, very extremely independent I was. I did everything myself. I could sew clothes, make clothes, I could put wallpaper up, I could even put carpet down, I could do gardening. I was over the top independent. I could do everything. And then to get to a stage where you can barely pick a spoon up, I have to have sometimes my children feed me because I haven't got the strength to pick a spoon and put it in the mouth. And you're like, how have I gone from that to this? How? Without a choice. I had no choice in this.
And no either. Sometimes it just happens without us realising.
Where's it come from? What is this? Why have I got it? And to keep taking, and you sit there and you're begging God, okay, you've done it, you've taken so much, now stop, give me a break. But it doesn't. And stop. Continues. There's even next stage, then the next stage. And so what is my next stage? What else can you take from me now?
Yeah. And it's almost like it gets to a stage, I can completely appreciate, where you feel like it's just survival mode more than anything, because of how I can appreciate how everything bit by bit has just been taken away from you.
Yeah, it is. Listen, it's like, actually, what is the future? Because I don't know what's left to take. My speech, I don't know.
So in terms of, because it was your artwork that kind of got my attention through the BBC. How did you get into creating?
So I've always enjoyed, creative things, and I was always creating things, and I love painting. But it wasn't anything I really put my mind to. I just used to dabble with it. And then when I came out of hospital, I literally could not raise my arm or anything, and I needed it strengthening. And I thought, there's actually nothing I can do. And something in me just went, let me see if I can paint. And when I started painting, and then I got halfway through this I had no idea what I was going to paint. I just painted. And as soon as I got that brush, and I held it in 2 hands because I couldn't hold it with 1 hand, and I just dragged it along, and I was doing it by dabbing, putting it in the paint, dab, dab, dab. I started creating something, but I only got halfway up the canvas and I couldn't go any higher. So I turned it upside down, and I did it upside down the rest of it. So all of it, the top half is done from the bottom up. And when I finished, one of the carers had come in, and she just thought it was a beautiful painting. She goes, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And because she gave me that encouragement as well, and I thought, wow, I did that myself. My son or my daughter, I can't remember, walked in. They said, oh, Mum, did you do that? And I said, yes. And it was just like, oh my God, something I can do. I just created that. And I felt so good the process I was doing and being able to paint upside down, that it just became, I'd started painting weekly. And how I felt as I painted, I just loved that I was real again. I felt me, a little bit of that creative person I was, a little bit of who I am. I felt that tiny bit, oh my God, Sarah's still there, she's still there. And then it just became more and more. I just painted and painted and painted.
Oh.
Then no idea that I was ever going to exhibit it or anything like that. That's another story.
So how did that come about then?
So I had painted, like, I must have had about 30 pictures. I've still got loads in my room. And I used to get my son, just put them up, put them into my bedroom, became a gallery. And I have a Tai Chi instructor who's also a friend of mine. And he said, oh, those are quite good. Anyway, he has a friend where my things were exhibited. She frames pictures for him, and they were just talking. And he goes, oh, I've got a friend who's got MS, and she started painting. And he showed her a few pictures on his mobile. And she goes, oh, those are nice. And then he said, oh, I'd love them to be exhibited. And she said, why don't you exhibit them here? Because I don't know where you do it. And then it just went up. And I was like, whoa, I'm having some of my work somewhere else. That's good. That's how it went.
That's so amazing. You know what's really nice to see is you're absolutely beaming just talking about it as well.
Really? Can you see it? It is the paint. When I paint, oh my God, I've forgotten everything. I don't think about my past. The future is not scary. And I don't remember anything that I'm in pain or anything. I'm just doing it. I'm just painting. I'm lost. I'm totally lost. And I just realised, actually, that's my best therapy. Art has been the best thing for me.
Yeah.
I didn't realise. I had no idea this would be what makes me happy.
And things manifest from a different route as well, don't they? So actually, it started off just as something that you wanted to do just to gain strength in your hands.
Yeah, gain strength. It started to gain strength. Yeah.
And look at it now, it just absolutely blossomed.
Yeah. And I started changing as a person the more I painted, in that I wasn't dwelling on what I couldn't do and dwelling on my life. I'm a burden, my life is rubbish, my life is all this. I didn't dwell on that so much. I was just like, I can paint, look what I can do, I can paint. And I got more excited with the painting.
And when you can see something that you've created by yourself, where you haven't had to rely on anybody else, no one has to fear.
My family have to set it all up for me, and then they disappear. Yeah. And then that whole time is mine to just create.
Yeah.
And nobody
have very little alone time, don't you, because of carers being around, your mum, children.
Yeah, somebody just check everything's okay, you know.
Yeah.
But that's just on my own, and it's beautiful. I love it.
So nice. It's so lovely. And actually, it's really inspirational for anybody else to know that there is hope, and there is something else that you can do.
There is, definitely, because I had got rock bottom. You couldn't pull me out or anything. And painting saved me. It actually saved me, because I just didn't see. I used to beg God and say, please don't wake me up tomorrow, because there's no point. And now I get excited. Oh, I'm going to get paint, and I'm going to get this, and I'm going to do that.
That is really incredible. What a huge turnaround. And actually, there is art therapy out there, isn't there?
And art, honestly. You know, the government has cut funds for arts and music and all of that. Oh my gosh, they're making a big mistake, because that is what will help people with chronic illnesses or other disabilities or whatever. Nobody understands how amazing it actually is.
No, they don't. Now it's just escapism, and that's within such a busy life, when we're managing so many emotions and so many different levels of pain. We need elements of escapism, and music, art, drama, whatever it might be.
Drama.
It's definitely an outlet.
Everybody's born artistic. Look at children. They don't care what the end product is. They just love to create and make. And we lose that as we get older. We just forget that we're all creative and we can all do something. And it's when you get this illness and you've got nothing else, you can go back to being that child again and do it. Create. I don't think of an audience. I don't think, oh, who's going to look at this? It was the process was me, just me. I don't know what I'm going to end up with. It's just how I'm feeling at the time that I create.
And it makes it
only
so organic.
That I really, oh, that's quite good actually.
Yeah, that's so good that you actually can see your hard work and your achievements and actually recognize it as a really good piece of work. I remember the showed on the news, my daughter turned around and said, "Mummy, that's really good." And I was like, it really is good. And she's now 9. And yeah, she was just kind of that, and she art and stuff, and she was like, "That's really good, Mummy. She's really good, isn't she? She's got MS." And I said,
"Oh, that's really nice."
And I was like, "I'm definitely going to have to reach out to you now and speak."
Oh, thank you.
Oh no, but it's so lovely to see that actually you have managed to turn things around, and it doesn't mean that your health is any better, your physical health is any better, or you still don't grieve the life that you once lived. It means that you've got that little glimmer of hope, that little bit of
that word glimmer, those little glimmers.
It is a little glimmer of hope, of want, of kind of passion as well.
Yes. You just feel alive again because you died. So much of you had died that you just had nothing, and then now it's, I don't know, you're lost in this wonderful world when you do something creative. You know, it might be some people, it might be drama, it might be dancing, it might be the music, it might be anything. For me, it was paint.
Mm-hmm. And half of our struggles with MS is the mental load as well.
Yeah.
Our mindset, it's the lows that we
those is, I think, manifested into me physically as well. So for any trauma I went through, or any loss or grief or sadness, my MS got worse. So when my father died, that's when I ended up permanently in a wheelchair. Certain losses or certain difficulties throughout my life makes things worse. So when you're feeling very sad, you are physically worse as well. So having a happy environment, doing something you enjoy, does help. Does help you getting worse, I think.
No, it really does. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. We are running out of time. I really appreciate it. And even just within this conversation, we've gone highs and lows in our emotions as well.
Yes.
But it's so nice to end on the high. And well done. You are an absolute inspiration.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will be in touch soon. But thank you so much for spending the time to talk to me today.
And you. And I hope you all the best as well. And I hope yours doesn't deteriorate.
We can hope, can't we?
Get happy and start painting.
Good mindset. I'm going to start manifesting positivity. Thank you so much.
Okay, then.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.